a question for engagement for everyone in the room. So for those who have just entered, welcome once again. We'd like to ask you, mag-shoutout naman kayo ng name nyo and where you guys are tuning in from. Ayan. Okay, yan. We have si Charlene saying good afternoon, and she's from Sampaloc, Quezon Province. Good afternoon. So ayan, no, yung mga kakapasok, please message where you're tuning in from. Ayan, we have Vince from Tarlac State University. We have Maria from Baguio.
We also have Ruth from Isabela.
Ayan, we have Christy from Ormoc, Leyte. Ayan, good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone that's entering. Ayan,
Grabe, Alma, parang we have participants from all over the Philippines.
Yes, from all over. And it's looking to be really exciting because it seems we have a very engaging crowd. And on the other end naman, we're happy because we're about to share a very interesting topic for today.
Yes, so we're just gonna let some people in. So if you have friends or colleagues who are also joining us this afternoon, you can tell them na may available slots pa inside the meeting room.
Yes, we newly upgraded our Zoom room to accommodate a capacity of more than 500 participants. So we're really, we encourage you all to invite your friends and colleagues to join this session. And ayan, no? So Gabby, our session today is called Swipe Right. Bagay ba kayo ng trabaho mo? And I think this is a really interesting topic that we developed here in Positive Workplaces. Actually, this topic, nagamit na rin namin yung idea na to in one of our podcasts that we did last year nung December. Basically, what we did there is all same thing, like bagay ba kayo ng trabaho mo? Or like finding the perfect match with your work. And we had our boss there, John, and as well as me and my other co-host, Jack. And we talked about what it was for the Gen Z perspective to be looking for work at the time. So we're going to explore the topic again today, this time in a different lens. And we hope that it's going to benefit our younger audiences that are joining the room, as well as those with experience. Because for those who are younger, you can see, are you a perfect fit for the work that you might pursue? Or are you a perfect fit with your course and whatnot? And for our audiences who are a bit more experienced in the field, that's when you really get to assess kung bagay ka ba talaga with the work that you have. So ayun, Gabby, we've been talking kanina pa, why don't we introduce ourselves? Good afternoon again, everyone. My name is Alma, and I'm the Wellbeing Services Associate of Positive Workplaces. And joining me is my wonderful co-host.
Yes, I'm Gabby Liamson. I'm the Learning and Development Associate of Positive Workplace. And we will be your moderators this afternoon.
Yes, thanks so much, Gabby. So, as always, we always started with the mission of Positive Workplaces, which is we co-create cultures that enhance the well-being of the Filipino workforce. And our vision is simple. It's to create a nation of positive organizations. But how do we do that? We do that through what is called the positivity ripple, which starts from, of course, leading the self. And we do this by imparting knowledge, skills, and concepts to teach learners like you who are joining this webinar today, and through other programs that we have like courses and in-house training. And once we start to lead the self, we now become more adept in leading others. And when we start influencing and creating positive cultures, we then lead these cultures. And these cultures bring about compassion and well-being. And this is what paves the way for positive workplaces. Now, this is what we call the positivity ripple. So let's talk about what we're going to do today.
So this afternoon, we are going to continue talking about relationships with work. So Alma, di ba, alam naman natin kakatapos lang ng Valentine's Day. Di ba? And just like how we put our relationships important in our lives, di ba? We really put effort into them. We also have to put effort in our relationship with our work. So we prepared 3 webinars for you this month. So last week we had Keeping Things Spicy, Maintaining High Employee Engagement, where we learned the magic framework. So kung may nakakaalala pa ng magic framework, pwede nyo i-share sa amin yan sa ating chat box. And then this afternoon, we're going to talk about swipe right, bagay ba kayo ng trabaho mo. And next week, titingnan naman natin kung may pag-asa pa nga ba kayo ng trabaho mo. So we are gonna spot red and green flags of well-being with Monica.
Yeah, and totoo talaga, no, we have a very interesting topic today. Because just like how when you're looking for your partner, it needs to be the perfect match. Dapat ganun din yung pagtrato when you're looking for work because it's gonna be with you for a big chunk of your day. So why not choose the best one for you?
I agree, Alma. So, para hindi na maghintay yung audience natin ng matagal, let's just have this quick reminder. So, have another device or be ready to go to another link because we have activities lined up for you on Menti and on Padlet. And also, you can prepare a pen and paper for your notes this afternoon.
And of course, we highly encourage engagement in the audience, but please be respectful when you chat. Always have people's feelings and opinions in mind. And of course, we have an evaluation form at the end that will be open for 30 minutes only. Although I do have to note importantly that you have to make sure that you put your full name and email address na kailangan tama, no pseudonyms because we don't resend the form. So make sure you don't use a nickname. And lastly, since a lot of you are filling up the form and asking for e-certificates, the program we use, minsan, di ba, na-full siya. So, if ever you don't receive it within 2 days, please don't worry muna kasi it takes about 2 to 3 days. When it goes past that period, that's the time when you can message us for that e-certificate. So, ayan, thank you na lang for everyone. And without further ado, no, Gabby, why don't we give the floor to our speaker for today, which is John Baluyot.
Yes. Hi, John.
Hi, John.
Hi, Gabby. Hi, Alma. How are you?
We're good. We're so good. I'm so excited to listen to this topic because I know I'm working now, but then I know there's a lot of people that want to know if they're really the right fit with their work. Like me, I will be thinking about that sometime in the future. So yun.
Tsaka there's there's an issue, di ba, recently because of a video that was published for political use, yung claim na may nagtatrabaho ng 18 hours in a day, ganyan. It's very important for us to talk about like how much time people spend at work and how good is their relationship with their work. Kasi can you imagine if you work between 8 to 18 hours of your waking life, tapos hindi mo gusto yung trabaho mo or meron kang disconnect dun sa trabaho mo, di ba parang sayang naman that you're actually there when you could actually spend it somewhere else and you will be so much happier. So we're going to be talking about some of the elements of why and how people become satisfied and delighted by their jobs. And we will see if those elements fit with the job that you currently have or, for example, the internship that you have or the course that you have. And we will apply some concepts of well-being along the way. So yeah, I'll share my screen now. No? Thank you so much, Gabby and Alma, for the introduction. Okay. So, can you see my screen now?
Yeah. You're good.
All right. Amazing. Thank you. So, I want to give a shout out also to our usual attendees. Nakikita ko si Mayflower from DSWD Car is here. Si Pauline Barrero also, I can see like from Enchanted Kingdom. Si Charlene, nakikita ko rin. Ano to, parating nandito sa, parang wala yatang nami-miss na webinars ng ating mga community members. So thank you so much for attending the multiple sessions. So my name is John Baluyot and I'm the current CEO and one of the co-founders of Positive Workplaces. And I studied Masters of Leadership in Monash University, Australia. After finishing my MBA degree and working with a multinational company called SGS Group. Siguro like to give you an introduction of some of the jobs that I've been to. Para makarelate din tayo na hindi naman kaagad co-founder yung kinahinatnan ko. My first ever job was a recruitment assistant when I was an intern with Corporate Executive Search. So it's a very prominent recruitment firm here in the Philippines. They were happy with my internship to the point that they extended to me parang a gig during my summer job. Tapos they asked me to become a recruitment assistant where I get to interview different applicants for certain roles that they were recruiting for their clients. Tapos, that was really my first ever job when I was an intern and then they absorbed me as a recruitment assistant. My second job was I was a call center agent. So I did telemarketing. As in I was selling online yellow pages, mga ganon level. I got rejected so many times by Americans because American yung account. So I experienced night shift for about 8 months of my life. And then that was the time when I went to apply to a company that recruits OFW workers. So I stayed for 3 years with an organization that hires OFW construction workers, mga ganyan, and sends people to Australia, to New Zealand, ganyan, to Middle East, and Europe, etc. Until I got the opportunity to land a job with a multinational company called SGS, where I started as a recruitment head, and then I became the HR head, and then I finished my MBA, and they gave me an opportunity to go to the commercial segment, which I eventually became a global product manager for them. Tapos, fast forward to now, we now have our own company and organization called Positive Workplaces. So that's basically my employment experience. So you will see like the range of experiences that I was able to have from that story alone. I just want to highlight also that this specific content was designed by 4 people. So we have Sam and Reka, who are our interns in training and development. And we also have Gabby and Chi, who are our learning and development team members in Positive Workplaces. At least you know that this is not just my content. This is actually a lot of their research also. Now let's start with a mentee question. And let's do a diversity check in the room. Can you go to this mentee link or at least shoot the QR code in the screen and answer the question, which generation group do you belong in? So this is not to be ageist or anything, no? So I just want to know, saang generation kayo galing para makita natin, una, kung gaano ka diverse ba yung room natin. Pangalawa, kung ano yung mga examples na mas magandang gamitin during the session. So I don't want to be using like examples that will not be able to relate to people that much. Sayang naman yung time, nandito na lang din tayo. So, excuse me. So I hope you can answer this question in Menti. Again, the Menti link is in the chat box. So all you have to do is to click that. Tapos para makita natin kung kamusta yung distribution of learners. We also do this because we really love seeing who we are sharing knowledge on well-being about. Kasi it's nice to see na kamusta yung young leaders natin. Are they more vigilant when it comes to learning about well-being? Kasi mas mapoprotektahan nila yung sarili nila dun sa mga burnout na naramdaman naming mga mas senior ba. Kasi we weren't able to protect ourselves that much. So it looks like we have people, a majority of the attendees are between 24 to 40, tapos next is 15 to 24. So you have Gen Y. This is Gen Y, no? Gen Y is the most number that we have right now, and then Gen Z, and then Gen X, and then little bit of the baby boomers. Okay, very good. Thank you so much for the demographic check. No? We now have almost 500 people in the room. This is also my way of checking kung nagwo-work ba yung Menti sa inyo, because we will be using Mentimeter a lot today. I have 11 more Mentimeter questions. So be prepared to go back to the Menti prompt. Okay, thank you so much everyone for that. So what is our learning roadmap today? So the first one is, why is it a need to match with our jobs? Bakit ba siya ganun ka-importante? Ano naman kung hindi tayo match sa job? May mga tao naman na nabubuhay at namamatay na hindi nag-match sa trabaho nila. So what if we don't? Second is, ano ba yung mga qualities na pwede nating tingnan so that we will be able to see if our job matches with our personality, our character, our overall being. And how do we then use those qualities to see how we can increase that match better with the jobs that we either have or we will have in the future. So yun yung ating learning roadmap. So why is it a need to match with our job? So I'll ask you this question. Have you asked yourself lately if your job is right for you? So if you are employed Answer yes or no. If you are an intern or if you haven't had a job yet, look at your course. Okay, look at your internship. Have you asked yourself lately if your job is right for you? Sige nga. So go to Mentimeter. We are also seeing some responses in the chat box. Some people say yes, some people no. Yan. All right. Oy, John Eric Escalante, hello. Nice to see you here. Another attendee from our crowd from DSWD CAR. Yan. So a lot of people have asked themselves once in a while, no, na if their job is right for them. So we have around 100 people compared to the 29 people who have responded so far. Bakit importante ito? Why is it important for us to know or ask ourselves if our job is a match? Currently, we have some stats here that says that less than half of the United States workers are satisfied with their jobs. So that means that the other half are not. Diba? So yung job satisfaction is an issue in jobs. Second is we also looked at research from the Philippines. So it says here that 3 in 10, so that's 33%, of graduates of higher education institutions feel that they end up mismatched with their jobs. Malaki yun, ha? Malaki yun. Malaki yung demographic na 1 out of 3 people in the workplace, or 3 out of 10. Half of Filipino workers express the need to quit their jobs also. Malaki din yan, di ba? Especially during the pandemic. That's why people are saying that there is that phenomenon called the Great Resignation. So people sometimes right now are having some struggles in trying to see their fitness with their jobs or with their work. Now, let me ask you this question. For those people who have experienced working already, what makes you stay in your job? Diba? Especially, so you can go back to Menti, especially if you think that the job may not be the right fit yet. What makes you stay? Excuse me. Ayan, okay. So we're getting good responses na Menti. At ang bilis, nakakatuwa ang bilis nyo na mag-response sa Menti, ha? Sanay na talaga kayo. So some people say salary, some people say people. Sahod, salary, money, positive environment, the environment, co-workers, security, salaries, ang daming salary, di ba? Ano pa? Appreciation of others, the environment in my work, healthy environment, salary, ang daming salary, passion. Alam nyo, tinatamaan nyo yung mga i-discuss natin mamaya. Nakakatuwa talaga kasi talagang a lot of this are the reasons why people stay in their jobs. Food on the table, salary, financial responsibilities, compensation, practical purposes, which is finances, support the self and family, etc. I just love teaching. Ayan, this is passion or meaning or vocation. Diba? The company culture and how they take they take good care of their people. Very good. I'm young and new at my work, and right now what makes me stay is I really feel like there's great learning. Oh, this is very good. Growth naman, yung motivation ng isang respondent natin. So, very good, no? So we have varying reasons. And we also have some people in the chat box saying, I stay because of my appreciative manager, work environment, ayan, salary, etc. Ganyan, salary. So very good. Thank you so much for those responses. Okay. So bakit importante na tinatanong natin yung mga bagay na yan? Some of the reasons from Harvard Business Review why people stay in their jobs are the following. Tama kayo. Siyempre pera. Yun eh. I mean, why will you work if you're not gonna get paid, right? Second is, minsan nag-stay yung mga tao kasi mataas yung tolerance nila. Mataas yung tolerance nila in general. Magaling sila magtiis. So kahit hindi nila gusto yung trabaho, pwede nilang tiisin yon because they're earning money from it. They're earning good money from it. Some people naman say that they lack self-awareness. Hindi pa nila alam kung ano talagang gusto nila. I remember this because when I was in college, tapos I was trying to select a course for myself. I selected behavioral science. Ano to ha, with all honesty, I selected behavioral science kasi ang sabi, yun daw yung pinakamadaling makahanap ng trabaho. Kasi sobrang dami daw na HR opportunities in the Philippines na hindi daw ako mawawala ng opportunity if I chose behavioral science as a job. Yun yung isang reason. The other reason is because sabi sa amin, pwede daw po kami mag-alaga ng hamster. Kasi sa experimental psych, kailangan mag-conditioning ka, classical conditioning using hamsters. So end goal is, hindi po kami nakapag-alaga ng hamsters. Binudol lang po kami nung mga professors. Joke lang. So lack of self-awareness. Hindi ko pa alam kung ano yung gusto ko talaga during that time. Second, fourth is uncertainty. May mga tao who stay in their jobs because that's the only constant that they have right now. They cannot afford not to have a constant in their lives. So those are some of the reasons why people stay based on Harvard Business Review. And this is one of those reasons that I want to impart with you on why having a wrong fit is very important for us to understand. When you are in a wrong fit in your job, it goes around into a work cycle of doom. This is from Carrick and Dunaway, a study that they did in 2017. Ano yung work cycle of doom? Wrong fit ka sa job, therefore, you dread the work and find it difficult to do your best. Because you find it difficult to do your best and you dread your work, you receive only critical feedback. Bato-bato sa langit na to ha. Huwag na tayong magpanggapan dito. Sometimes you only receive critical feedback. Hindi ka nakaka-receive ng mga papuri, mga ganyan, etc. Because you only receive critical feedback, you dislike the work even more. Diba? Parang ano ba to? Tangit pala nitong trabaho na to, ganyan. And then it goes back to that notion of your job is the wrong fit. That is what we call the work cycle of doom. And that is a very important concept to understand. So I want to ask you, what part of the work cycle of doom did you or do you feel the most if you've experienced having a wrong fit in your job? So anong gagawin nyo? Ipin nyo. So go to Mentimeter, ipin nyo, alin dyan yung pinaka nararamdaman nyo. So when you go to Menti, you can start pinning your response now. Ayan, very good. Okay, I love it. Pag-practice na kayo ha. When you're in Menti, select kayo, ipipin nyo lang, idadrag nyo yung dot kung saan kayo saan yung pinaka nararamdaman nyo if you've experienced that your job was a mismatch. Excuse me. Sige nga, tingnan natin. Doon ba kayo sa you dread your work and you find it difficult to do your best? Is it na you receive only critical feedback? Is it you dislike the work even more? Or is it your job is the wrong fit? Yeah. So we're getting a good number of responses. So, 100 responses na. And a lot of it is showing na people dread their work and find it difficult to do their best. And this is very important for us to know. Okay? Ayun, no, I dislike it even, pero I perform, which is weird. Sabi nung isa dito, nagpa-perform ako pero I don't like it. 'Di ba? So may ganun pang klaseng response. So that's very good. That's very good input. You dread the work and it's difficult to do your best. Okay, you dread the work pero you're doing okay or you're doing well. Okay? So let's talk about, thank you so much for your response, no? Let's talk about how important it is to find that job fit. You know, if you don't have your job fit, it can cause adverse reactions on you as an individual. Number one, dito pumapasok yung decline in motivation and self-confidence. Di ba some of us, pag hindi natin gusto yung trabaho or hindi natin gusto yung kumpanya, naramdaman natin na parang unti-unti tayong linalamon ng imposter syndrome kasi feeling natin we don't belong there and our skills don't fit. Okay, linilamon tayo, no? Bakit gano'n yung mga office mates ko okay, ako hindi? O kaya, yung sabi ni Stella, I don't want to dread my work, but how they demoralize makes me dread it. Diba? Yung nararamdaman natin na nagde-decline yung motivation natin at nade-demoralize tayo even if I like supposedly the job. You also feel psychological reactions like anxiety, resentment, or stress. Diba? Kasi generally, if you feel that your job is not for you, mararamdaman mo yung mga hindi magagandang bagay more than yung mga magagandang bagay. Mas lalo kang pumupunta doon sa negative, na-highlight yung negative pag hindi siya fit. The third one is, nagkakaroon ka na ng physiological reactions. Sino ba dito yung mga nahihirapan ng matulog? Sumasakit na yung likod at saka yung balikat. Mas mabilis nagpapalpitate ang puso. Mga ganyan, sa sobrang stress sa trabaho. Yan, nararamdaman na natin yung mga physiological reactions. Di ba? O yan, di ba? Nagtaas na kayo ng kamay. Ako po, naramdaman ko yan. Honestly, naramdaman ko po yung hindi ako makatulog hanggang alas 3 ng madaling araw, iniisip ko kung ano yung gagawin sa trabaho ko. Ganun yung level ng physiological effect sa akin ng trabaho when I found out that it's a poor job fit. So that's how important it is to understand the fitness. Kasi you're going to start to feel all of these things. And if it haunts you every day, we are going to burn out. Diba that's not the best way to live our lives, no? When you're already burned out every day and you don't want to work anymore because of these reactions. Sa organization, pag marami na sa inyo nakakaramdam nito or marami na sa atin nakakaramdam nito, ito na yung sinasabi natin na nagko-contribute na tayo sa toxic culture. Kahit minsan ayaw natin or kahit minsan hindi natin alam, bigla na lang tayo nagko-contribute. Naalala ko to kasi when I was working with my previous company before, sobrang hilig ko sa resulta. Sobrang hilig ko sa resulta to the point na there was a time na Pasko, Christmas party namin. Tapos yung subcontractor namin, hindi nagpa-perform, hindi nag-submit ng report sa amin on time. Tapos Christmas party din nila. Tinawagan ko yung boss nila at sinabi ko, kailangan ko yung report nyo. Wala akong pakialam kung nagki-Christmas party kayo ngayon. Kasi kailangan namin i-submit to sa kliyente namin. Hindi ako aware na sobrang toxic ko na pala dahil hindi ko na gusto yung ginagawa ko or masyado ng negative yung environment ko at saka yung kultura namin. That's how bad it had become for me before. Diba? I'm already contributing to the toxicity. It already destroys team dynamics. It's affecting the reputation and the image, not just of myself, but also of the organization. Tapos pumapasok na yung absenteeism, turnover, productivity, inaapektuhan na rin pati performance, etc. Is that familiar to you? Yung gano'n na minsan parang nararamdaman natin na nega na rin yata ako. Kasi gano'n na yung kultura ng organisasyon. No? Parang naapektuhan na rin. So ayan, tingnan nyo, nag-agree na kayo sa chat box. No? Totoo yan. Kasi minsan we also get to be affected by that flow eh. That's how important it is to understand an important job fit. When everyone has a good fitness with a job, there is wholeheartedness. Nararamdaman mo na gusto mo yung ginagawa mo, gusto mo yung mga tao, gusto mo yung kultura, therefore buong-buo mong binibigay yung sarili mo doon sa trabaho. Sometimes, naramdaman nyo na ba to yung nandun kayo sa trabaho na feeling nyo hindi siya trabaho, feeling nyo buhay siya, feeling nyo ang ganda nitong ginagawa ko, I contribute to a greater meaning. Tapos, masaya ako dun sa trabaho, masaya ako dun sa mga kasama ko sa tao, therefore, I'm happy. That is sometimes the self-esteem and self-actualization and overall well-being that we feel when the job fits so well. Okay? Sabi ni Mrs. Stella, sometimes even us, we get detached, like you don't care anymore. That's true. When the job doesn't fit, one of the things that we feel is sometimes we get so detached to it and the people themselves. So, di ba? Sabi ni Abigail, sarap sa feeling pag ang work mo nakakatulong sa mga tao. That's true. Di-discuss natin yan, Abigail, mamaya-maya. Aabot tayo dyan. So, ano yung itsura nung nag-fit ka dun sa job mo? Ang tawag naman doon is virtuous work cycle. So, yung virtual work cycle is your job fit is right. You are motivated and excited to do your best work. Because you're motivated and excited to do your best work, you build strong relationship and you create positive feedback. Tapos, you enjoy work even more. And you start to think that, my God, this is like the perfect fit of a job for me. I don't want to leave it anymore. Diba? Tama nga, sabi ni Mary Grace, sana all may self-actualization. Yun ang susubukan natin mag-work together towards within this webinar, Mary Grace. So yung virtuous work cycle. Ito yung example na pwedeng mangyari kung tama yung fit natin sa ating trabaho. Now, can you recall a time that you had a work experience that was a great fit on you? I-recall nyo yon. Meron kayong great experience that that really was a great fit. What did that feel like? How did that affect you? Sige nga, tingnan natin sa Mentimeter. Meron yan, meron kayong na-experience once in your life at some point na meron kang trabaho na talaga namang sobrang kinakatuwa mo. Ayan, sabi ng mga tao, I felt happy. I love this. I felt that I was creating a positive impact in the organization. I felt energized. Better sleep, di ba? Feeling accomplished. Great relationships with coworkers. I'm happy. I'm fulfilled. I'm content. Being a tour guide made me feel so happy. Ayan, sabi. I became a source of positive energy inside and outside of work. Diba nakakatuwa marinig itong mga bagay na to? Kasi meron naman talaga ng mga trabaho at meron talagang mga gawain na pag ikaw ay nag-fit doon, alam mo that you yourself become a source of positive energy. Diba? So I felt that I'm valued. I feel that I'm not working. I look forward to going to work. Alam niyo, ang dami niyo pong tinatamaan ng mga elements that i-discuss natin mamaya in the PERMA model. I look forward to Mondays when it was that I was appreciated and I received commendations. Di-discuss natin yan. I was elated when my trainee said that I was one of the best trainers she had. Sobrang sarap makaramdam ng ganitong mensahe, di ba? Kasi alam mo na yung trabaho na yon ay para sa iyo. One of my coworkers told me I have grace under pressure. Pak na pak talaga. Yan ang mga marireceive natin ng mga mensahe dahil gusto natin at pasok tayo dun sa trabaho natin. Made me feel motivated to do my best. Very good. Thank you so much for all of your responses. Ang sarap basahin, 'di ba? Ayan no, ang sarap basahin na meron kayong experience when you had a great fit with a certain job. As an events coordinator, sabi nitong isa, the work is tiring but I still have the energy until end of the day. Totoo po yan. Kami po ni Nikki, kahit nagtitrain kami buong araw, kahit na nakakapagod, ang saya-saya ng pakiramdam na ang dami naming mga buhay na na-influence dahil dun sa content na ginagawa namin. Ganun po yung pakiramdam that your job fits into what exactly it is that you were made of. So maraming salamat po for these responses. Now, yung mga effects ng good job is pwede yung increase in profit or increase in your earnings, higher productivity, lower turnover, and loyalty. Based yan sa Lee et al. Na study in 2016. Now let's talk about the 5 elements that comprise what can make a good fit in the job, di ba? And we will be using the PERMA model of Martin Seligman. So ano nga ba yung mga qualities that you should look out for to see whether or not your job fits you? Okay? Hindi natin sinasabi let me clarify our framing here ha. Hindi natin sinasabi na pag merong isang bagay na hindi mo ikinakatuwa, umalis ka na doon sa trabaho mo. Hindi. Kasi when you treat your job as if it's a relationship. 'Di ba? Pag nasa relationship ka, pag may bagay na hindi nag-work, ang first instinct mo ay hindi naman dapat umalis. Ang first instinct natin is to try to make it work. To try to see what is within our control, and if we can do things that are within our control to improve it, then we will have a more meaningful and longer relationship. Iyon po ang framing natin today. Pag hindi nag-work yung 5 ibibigay natin na mga iba-ibang aspeto, doon po tayo mag-isip na dapat umalis na ako sa trabaho na to or dapat mag-consider na ako baka kasi hindi enough yung nabibigay sa atin na satisfaction sa well-being ng trabaho so that I might need to explore a different job na. So we will exhaust everything that we can in the same way that we're doing for our romantic relationships. So let's talk about the first one. Diba? So the PERMA framework is positive emotions, engagements, relationship, meaning, and accomplishment. I-relate natin to ngayon sa job match natin. or sa job fitness natin. Let's talk about positive emotions. Yung trabaho nyo ba can be a good source of positive emotions. A mental experience that is intense and pleasurable. Those are positive emotions. Okay? Examples of that are love, joy, gratitude, interest, awe, pride, mga ganyan, courage. So those are examples of positive emotions. So I want to ask you this. Can you think about a time when someone gave you a very sincere, positive feedback? Okay? Think about that time when someone gave you a very sincere, heartfelt, positive feedback. In one word, how did that make you feel? Okay? Think about that. When someone gave you a heartfelt, positive feedback, how did that make you feel? Loved, fulfilled, grateful, empowered, happy, appreciate. May kilig. Totoo yan. May kilig pa talaga, di ba? Overwhelmed, empowered. I feel amazing, appreciated, happy, appreciated, etc. Yan, di ba? Grateful, validated. These are examples of positive emotions. So what does this say? Positive feedback is one of the sources of positive emotions. So as a person who wants to have positive emotions around, it's important that you have also the capability to provide positive feedback. Kasi pag wala kang capability to provide positive feedback, you do not expect that also in return. You will have less of it actually. Diba? I'll give you an example. What will you feel if your staff sends you this message? So I want you to read it. It's a bit long. Pero what will you feel if your staff sends you this message? Sige nga, can you put that in the chat box? This is a real message. Like, this is a real message that I got from one of my teammates. So what do you feel? Sabi ni Sherry, feel humbled and grateful to be receiving this type of feedback. That's true. I feel happy and proud that I'm making a difference. So I'm quite delighted. Sabi ni Jana, I feel inspired. Sabi ni John Paul, I feel thankful, proud, grateful, and inspired that I serve the purpose. Diba? The reason why I'm sharing this is because this was a message to me by one of my teammates, si Alma. So he's here right now. Tapos, this is a response because I've been practicing a habit called positive feedback or positive ratio, wherein I will always look for I will always provide 5 or 6 positive feedback first before I go to my negative feedback or criticisms. This was his reaction to that. So what it did was, not only did it provide an encouraging experience to Alma, it also made me feel great. It also made me feel all of these great positive emotions because he also gave me positive feedback back. So does that make sense? How powerful positive emotions is? Diba? This is an example of that. Right? So I want to ask you, if this is one of those ways by which you can do positive emotions, what then does it give us? When positive emotions are around, when you have a climate of positive emotions, it provides you with a concept called broaden and build. So this is from Fredrickson's research. Ano ba yung broaden and build? It's an effect on our behavior. Broaden is when our thoughts and our actions are actually more free, expanded, and autonomous. Anong ibig sabihin nun? Pag mas marami kang positive emotions, you feel less threatened. Diba? Diba ang reaction ng tao, pag merong negative emotion or pag merong threat, ano yung F and F? Fight or flight. Diba? So kunyari, may nag-criticize sa'yo, John, ano ba yan? Ang bilis-bilis mong magsalita. Hindi ko na naiintindihan yung mga sinasabi mo. Magiging defensive ka na, sabihin mo na, baka naman mabagal ka lang mag-isip. Nakasira ka pa, di ba? Nakapanglait ka pa ng ibang tao, binalik mo yung negative na criticism. So when you are under threat, when you have negative feedback, negative emotions, people tend to retaliate. Pero when you have positive emotions around, yung broadened concept is our minds become more open and accepting of ideas, and we tend to even return more positive feedback in an open-minded manner. Okay? That's what broaden is. It broadens thoughts and actions that come to our mind. Hindi yung mas restricted tayo na, oh my God, kinikriticize niya ako. Kailangan kong gantihan, gano'n. So that's an example of broaden. Build is when our personal resources, our self-assurance, our confidence, our self-efficacy starts to increase because of the positive emotions that we feel around us. Di ba pag mas marami kang tao na nagbibigay ng positive emotions, you feel more confident kasi parang feeling mo, susuportahan ka nila instead of hahatakin ka nila at sisiraan ka nila. That is what a culture of positive emotions will look like. Sabi ni Marge, basahin natin ang response ni Marge na wala. I remember that in my major subject last semester, that is positive psychology. That's my favorite subject. That is true. So broaden and build is a concept under positive psychology by Fredrickson. So very important yon. That's one element that we have to have in our workplaces. So my question to you is, since you've experienced positive emotions at your work, can you help us out with a Padlet? What has worked for you or your organization in encouraging positive emotions? So there's a Padlet link there, and click lang yung plus sign underneath. Ano yung nag-work sa inyo? So for example, ako, I will say here, positive feedback. Lalagay ko dito. Nag-work sa akin yan. Positivity ratio, sandwich technique. Parang ganyan. So that's an example of an input. Ano yung mga nag-work sa inyo in your organization? That's why positive emotions are abound, or positive emotions are very abundant. Sige, sabihin nyo lahat, as many as you can in 2 minutes. Tingnan natin kung ano-ano yung inyong mga nagustuhan. Tapos kung gusto niyo kung gusto niyo pusuan yung mga input ng mga ibang tao or mag-comment doon sa mga input ng ibang tao, gawin niyo. 'Di ba? Meron diyang mga may mga reacts. So sabi dito, positive feedback, open communication, appreciation at work, constructive criticism, pero honest. Hindi naman kasi pwedeng nagbibigay ka ng positive feedback tapos nambobola ka lang. 'Di ba? Kailangan specific yung feedback mo, hindi yung nasubukan niyo na yung magsabi sa tao na kunyari may dumaan sa harapan mo na office mate, sinabi mo, alam mo ang ganda mo. Di ba parang, tapos kuminto ka na doon, so alam mo ang ganda mo, parang hindi mo alam kung ginagago ka, di ba? Kasi parang, ano ba to, sobrang patronizing naman ito tao na to. O kaya kung hindi sanay makareceive ng compliment sa'yo, parang feeling niya binobola mo siya. Pero pag sinabi mo na, alam mo ang ganda ng buhok mo ngayon, yung pagkakaayos, alam mo sobrang bagay sa iyo yan. Kasi nabibigay niya na mas maayos na shape yung jaw mo. And I really like that with you kasi it looks like your face is brighter. Di ba ang sarap makareceive ng ganong feedback? O kaya yung parang sinabihan mo yung tao na ang ganda nung pag-communicate mo nung mensahe na ito doon sa teammate natin. Kasi kahit na negative yung feedback, ramdam na ramdam yung nung tao, yung meaning nung mensahe mo at na-uplift mo pa yung spirit niya tapos natulungan mo pa siya. Specific yung feedback, di ba? Pag hindi specific yung feedback at wala kang detalye, parang nararamdaman mo na binobola mo lang kaya hindi totoo yung feedback. Para kang patronizing. So that's very good, no? Constructive pero honest. Di ba? Genuine care and compliment, being open-minded to ideas. Sabi ng isa, this means kasi that your views and inputs are valid also. That's true. All of us have our own experiences. Collaborative teammates, ganyan. Napakaganda, di ba? Ito pong Padlet na to ay ginagamit natin para makapag-generate tayo ng mga practices na pwede nating gayahin. Kasi pag sinubukan po natin to sa ating mga workplaces, as hindi pa natin susubukan yung iba, tapos nag-work po para sa inyo, benefit nyo po yun. Pwede po kayong nag-one step forward doon sa pwedeng ikakaganda ng relationship nyo with your workplace. Okay? So try to appreciate all of these inputs. and see what you can use for your own organization. Napakarami pong nagsulat. Maraming salamat po sa inyo. Healthy workplace, walang inggitan, may technical assistance, open communication, nag-i-include ng suggestions and opinions, openness and honesty are there. May informal feedback, hindi lang formal, 'di ba? Even if hindi part ng performance review, alam mo na nagbibigay ng feedback yung mga tao, hindi maghihintay ng quarter 4 or ng end of the semester, ganyan. Nakakatuwa, 'di ba? Ang dami yung mga practices kasi hindi lang naman po ako yung source ng expertise dito. Kayo rin po. Meron din po kayong mga experiences na nag-work para sa inyo at mas importante po 'yon kasi ibig sabihin mas pasok siya sa konteksto natin in the Philippines, no? So sana po nakatulong yung first exercise natin na 'yon doon sa positive emotions. Okay? That's our first aspect. So some questions to ask yourselves are, naglo-load. Okay. What positive emotions do you experience at work? What emotions do you want to experience at work? O kaya what features or activities in work can you help experience positive emotions? Those are some of the things that you can ask yourselves as you look at the Padlet even more. Para alam natin kung paano natin ilalaban yung relationship ba, 'di ba? Ng ginagamitan natin ng actual studies. Okay? So that's the first one. Isa pa lang 'yon out of the 5. Meron pa tayong 4. So sana po makapag-stay kayo until the 5th one kasi very, very important. The second one is engagement. Okay, ano ba yung engagement? Engagement is your experience wherein you feel that your skills and strengths and your attention for a challenging task is something that puts you in a state of enjoyment. Okay? Ulitin ko po yung skills, strengths, at yung attention nyo for a challenging tasks brings you to a state of enjoyment. Okay. Ano yung konsepto na to? This is the concept of flow experience by Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi. Ang ibig sabihin, pag meron po kayong activity na nararamdaman na yung challenge or expectation ay nagmi-meet doon sa skill, yun po yung ating tinatawag na state of flow. Ito po yung experience na hindi mo nararamdaman yung oras dahil sa sobrang tuwang-tuwa ka dun sa ginagawa mo, it doesn't even feel like work anymore. That is a very good experience to feel in your work. Okay? And it's not just in your one aspect in your work, di ba? It can be in other aspects. Tama si Sherry. It's you are in the zone. This is what, for example, athletes feel or basketball players feel whenever they are competing, di ba? Tapos ang daming nag-cheer. Ang daming expectations. Pag natalo to, maraming matatalo sa pusta, ganyan or something. Pero they enjoy the challenge kasi yung skill nila na na-develop, nami-meet yung challenge na yun. Di ba? So that's an example of flow. My experience of flow is simple. Excuse me. Na-test ko to nung nasa SGS ako. Tapos, bago pa lang graduate ako ng MBA. So, kakaaral ko lang ng mga concepts ng strategic planning, ganyan. Tapos meron kaming isang client na tawag ay CPF. Kailangan nila ng strategic planning session. Tapos yung strategic planning session will be attended by all of their vice presidents. CPF is one of the biggest agricultural companies in Asia. Tapos yung branch nila sa Philippines na yun, yung president, yung vice president, and all of their vice presidents were there. Kailangan i-facilitate yung strat plan. Yung magpa-facilitate ng strat plan, nagka-emergency. Tapos hindi na pwedeng umatras kasi may venue na, nandun na silang lahat, some of them were flown from Thailand to the Philippines, hindi pwedeng i-atras. So ako po yung tinulak. Sabi, oh may MBA ka naman, sige nga, subukan mo i-facilitate yan. You know what? Because I enjoyed facilitating, which is an activity that I really love doing. I love facilitating ideas. I love the challenge of being able to meet other people's brainstorming prowesses and then translate that into an idea that a lot of people will benefit from. Sobrang naging successful po yung experience namin na yun. We got a good praise from the president and the vice president. Tapos they were giving me some raves and saying na grabe ka, syempre in English, parang grabe ang bata mo pa pero na-facilitate mo yung strategic planning session with us. And we now have a great vision. And that made me so proud. That made me so proud because that activity gave me so much life. That was the experience that I felt. Diba? That was the experience that I felt during that time. So yun yung tinatawag na flow. Okay? My skill was facilitation. The challenge was I had to facilitate it with high-level executives even when I was just a fresh graduate in business school. And I was able to do it because of that intersection. Okay? Sana po clear yon. So I want to ask you, meron ulit tayong pin experience, no? Can you pin in Mentimeter kung nasan kayo dito sa work nyo ngayon? Nandun ba kayo sa flow? Nandun ba kayo sa comfort zone? Nandun ba kayo sa panic? Yung low, high challenge tapos low skill? O nandun ba kayo sa apathy? Low challenge, low skill. Nasan kaya kayo dyan? Tingnan nga natin. Ipin nyo ang inyong mga sarili. Sa work nyo, are you in apathy, in panic, in flow, in comfort zone? Saan kayo dyan? Yan. Nakakatuwa, di ba? Kitang-kita natin kung nasan yung mga pinakamarami. Okay. So it looks like majority of you, ayan, sabi ng isa, I used to be in panic zone. Sana nasa flow ka na ngayon. Sana nasa flow ka na ngayon. Marami pong nag-answer ng comfort zone. Marami rin po nasa panic zone. Tapos medyo next yung flow, tas yung apathy konti. So it's very important to acknowledge where you are in all of this. Kasi kailangan po natin maka-experience ng flow once in a while. Hindi naman po kailangan everyday ganon or something. Kasi mapapagod ka rin kung puro flow ka everyday. Yung mga atleta nga nagpapahinga rin po eh. So kailangan po once in a while nakaka-experience kayo ng flow experience. Kasi yun po yung utmost level of enjoyment with a certain activity that requires skill. May fulfillment din po kasi na naka-attach. So, yan, thank you so much dun sa inyong pag-participate. No? My next question to you is, ano ba yung activity? So in Mentimeter ulit, ano ba yung activity that puts you in a state of flow? Sige nga, sulat niya, kung ako facilitation, yun ang activity ko. Basta pag nagpa-facilitate ako, sobrang I feel like I'm so powerful. I feel so energized. I can do it the whole day. Ano sa tingin nyo sa inyo yon? Ano yung activity na yon sa inyo? Yan, okay, very good. Some people are already enumerating it, no? Team building, coaching, planning, training and feedback. Ayan, di ba? Nakakatuwa, no? Meron na kayong mga na-identify na mga talaga naman pag nandyan kayo sa mga activities na yan, you feel that you are in the zone. And for those people na sa tingin nyo hindi nyo pa po nakikita yung activities na yan, okay lang. Okay lang po. Okay lang. Kasi ako nga it took me my second or third job before I realized that that was the activity that puts me in a state of flow. So okay lang po if you're still looking for it. Okay? Basta ang importante, pakiramdaman nyo, 'di ba? Kung yun na ba yung ating state of flow. So very good for those people who already found theirs. Okay? Ano yung experience na pwede nyong i-incorporate? This is a tip for those people who are still looking for it, no? You can start plotting your energy level in the different parts of your life. Kuha kayo ng bond paper, hatiin nyo sa gitna, tapos tingnan nyo yung certain milestone nyo in your life. Alin doon yung energizing, alin doon yung depleting. Kunyari sa akin, yung college debating ko na experience, sobrang energizing yun sa akin kahit na gawin ko yun araw-araw. Nung pumunta ako sa law school, sobrang depleting siya kasi magbabasa ako ng sobrang dami para mapahiya sa klase, para magtrabaho ng sobrang daming dokumento when I graduate and finish law school after I take my bar exam. Some people get challenged by that. Some people find that satisfying. Not me. I find the arguments good. Like kunyari lawyer ako tapos ako talaga yung grandstanding in the court. Hindi naman ganoon dito sa Pilipinas. Hindi masyadong totoo yung The Good Wife, Boston legal vibe na law experience ganyan. So I realized that was not for me. Tapos I looked at recruiting, tama lang. When I took my MBA, parang hindi masyado kasi daming numbers. When I looked at my HR job, parang hindi masyadong gusto kasi support role. Pero when I went to product and business development, sobrang naramdaman ko talaga yung buhay sa akin. When I started leading an organization, and I started to lead PSTD, the Philippine Society for Talent Development, talaga naramdaman ko yung challenge and skill ko na nag-i-intersect. When I now build positive workplaces to the scale that it is, I felt energized. And a lot of it was because I really love the facilitating work, the strategizing, the facilitating. Yun po ang aking flow experience. You can also do this. Okay? You can also do this activity in your own time para makita niyo po kung nasan talaga yung flow experience. Now, I want to ask you, again, you can go back to the Padlet. In your experience, what do you think helped enhance your flow in your day-to-day? Yeah, yung sinulat ni Gabby. Alin sa tingin nyo? Sige nga, look tayo sa mga best practices. Sabi ni Natalia, organize tasks or coming up with lists. That's her flow state. What in your experience right now are the things that enhance your flow state? One of the persons here says cooperation. This is very important, that the people around you should be very supportive of the talents that you have, diba? That you like doing every day. So cooperation, willingness, motivation. Receiving feedback is also very important in flow. Kasi how will you know if you're doing well in that challenge if you're not being given feedback for it, right? Autonomy. Paano mo malalaman if your skills and strengths are being used well if people do not give you chances to experience those tasks on your own? Diba? Autonomy is so important. Support of management is also important in giving our staff that state of flow. The mood environment, knowing, ito, very important also. What are your goals? Oo nga naman. Paano mo malalaman kung mataas yung expectation or yung challenge mo or reasonable yung expectation or challenge if you do not know your goals or your objectives? Very good. Totoo yun. Kung klaro yung objectives nyo, alam nyo kung yung challenge is something that you also want to achieve. Very important yan in the state of flow. Participation of clients, the challenge to study the actual situation is another example. Support from your superiors. Ayan, sa mga boss po dito or sa mga tao po dito na merong mga subordinates, yung support nyo sa inyong mga staff can actually help them get into their state of flow. Technical assistance, support and trust, appreciative management, incentives. Possibly, di ba? Kasi minsan pag rewarded, yung state of flow nyo parang mas maganda kasi nakikita natin na talagang may malaking impact. Breaking down maganda rin to. Breaking down tasks into smaller ones and then organizing and performing it. Para po makikita nyo kung ano yung mga na-enjoy nyo na task at yung mga hindi nyo na-enjoy na mga task. Kasi tama nga naman, hindi naman lahat ng ginagawa natin sa trabaho na-enjoy natin. Pero pag breakdown nyo siya at tiningnan nyo kung alin yung energizing at hindi, makikita nyo po closer kung ano yung inyong state of flow or kung saan nyo nakukuha yung inyong flow experience. Galing. Thank you so much. Nakakatuwa po yung mga feedback nyo, mga moms and sirs, being provided with the tools and the guidance, having a mentor, getting to know the processes, need for acknowledgement. Yan. Okay. Good. Are you okay pa po? We have 3 pa. Are you all good pa? Can I get like a thumbs up or a yes in the chat box if you're still okay? All right, very good. Sabihan niyo po ako kung masyadong mabilis or masyadong mabagal or naaantok na kayo. Gawan po natin ang paraan yan para po ma-ensure that you're still engaged. Okay. So ano po yung mga questions to ask when you want to know that there is flow experience in your organization? Number 1 is, ano ba yung mga skills that is required of you from your job? Pag alam mo kung ano yung skills na kailangan sa'yo, makikita mo kung yung skills na yon gusto mo ba. For example, meron kaming mga teammates, ayaw nang nagpe-present. O kung kailangan sa skill set na yun, ayaw niya na nagpe-present, kailangan meron siyang skill na ma-develop na gusto niya. Kasi if puro hindi niya gusto, yung mga skills na kailangan niyang i-develop, ma-demotivate nga naman yung tao. So, what skills are required of the job? Diba? Do people possess the skills that they are learning? Right? And how challenging is it to find the work? How challenging is the job that you currently have? Diba? Those are very important questions to understand if you are closer in that state of flow. Okay? So, as supervisors, leaders, take note of this. As employees or as workers, take note of this. Kasi these are the things that are within your control and influence. Right? Let's go to the next one. Okay. Let's ask this question naman. What was the last activity that you experienced that helped enhance relationships in your workplace? Sige nga. Let's ask that question. What was the last activity that you experienced that helped enhance relationship in your workplace? Yon, problem solving, di ba? High challenge work, tapos marami kang mga supportive teammates. Pag meron kayong high challenging na work, tapos na-accomplish nyo, sobrang sarap ng pakiramdam. Team building, open forum, office TikTok, creating new targets, di ba? May team building, ISO accreditation. First time ko nakakita nito ha, pero good for you na you felt your relationships being enhanced in ISO certification. Teamwork, Christmas party, potluck, ganyan. Madali pong mag-isip, no? Kasi sa Pilipinas po, relationships is one of those things that is always very high when it comes to workplaces. Okay? So keep them coming. Now, relationships at work, di ba? These are the experiences that contribute to well-being through great relationships. Diba? Alam niyo po sa mga trabaho natin, dahil po nagsuspend tayo dyan ng, sabi nga, 8 to 18 hours of our lives. Diba, ang dami po natin mga ka-office mates na nagiging ninong, ninang, ganyan. O kaya, ang dami natin, minsan nga, doon nga po natin nakikita yung mga jowa natin. Diba, totoo po yan. Nagkakaroon ng mga workplace relationships dahil nga po, ang tagal nung ini-spend natin na time. So minsan, doon po natin nakikita yung ating mga special someones, mga ganun. So ganun po ka-importante yung mga relationships at work. Yung relationship natin sa mga boss natin, kung meron tayong mga mentoring relationships with them, ganyan. So ramdam din po natin yon through our jobs. Ganun po siya ka-importante. Now, I want to ask you, sana all daw, yung mga joke. I want to ask you in the chat box, how many connections do you think it takes to eradicate loneliness? Tingnan natin sa chat box. Ay, ang galing. Alam nyo na to. correct. Alam nyo na. It only takes one connection. Only takes one good connection, a meaningful connection, di ba? To not feel lonely. Right? Napanood nyo ba yung napanood nyo yung movie ni Tom Hanks na na-stuck siya sa island? Do you remember that movie? I think that's Castaway yata. Ganyan. In that movie, yeah, correct. That's Castaway. Kanino yung relationship na doon? Bakit siya nabuhay? Ano yung one relationship? Yes! Amazing, Ral. It was Wilson. It was even an inanimate object, diba? It was just a reflection of himself. He was having conversation with himself. Pero that was a meaningful connection to him because that was the only thing that he had. Tayo, marami tayong opportunities to have good relationships with people at work, with our families. So that one connection, you only have to find one, pero you can make multiple ones. Right? Now, I want to ask you, what is the minimum duration in minutes for a positive, caring interaction to make a measurable impact on people? What do you think? How many minutes does it take? Right? How many minutes does it take for a positive, caring interaction to make a measurable impact? Yes, tingnan nga natin kung sino tama. It's 1 minute. Actually, approximately 40 seconds. So this is from the study of Jane Dutton. It takes 1 minute to make a connection. All positive feedback, sincere positive feedback can actually make an amazing, meaningful connection. For example, the minute that I read the message of Alma to me, appreciating my positive feedback, that was 1 minute, less than 1 minute. And I already felt so good that my day during that time went so well. 1 minute, di ba? 1 meaningful minute. That's how important relationships are. And ito po yung mga samples ng mga relationships that I had with my workmates, di ba? Sometimes these are the reasons why we stay. Hindi po kami na-kidnap ng Abu Sayyaf dito. This is an outing that we had when we had our outing in Ternate, Cavite. Tapos the Marines yata yon, they allowed us to have the activity there. So we had a hiking in the mountains, etc. Hindi po to sa Europe, sa Star City lang po ito. This was when I was in HR. And that was our HR director, Ms. Michelle Garcia. She's my mentor. She's one of my life mentors. Ito pong nasa baba was when I was product manager for SGS. Tapos yung nasa gitna po ang aming division manager, si Roger Villanueva. He's my mentor naman when it comes to strategy. And currently, ito po yung Positive Workplaces team sa upper right. So these are the strong relationships that if you're able to build, could really create a big difference to how you enjoy your work. At sa Pilipino po, ang galing po nating gumawa niyan. Kung hindi po tayo marites masyado, gaganda pa po lalo yung relationships natin. Kasi ang galing po talaga mga Pilipino po ang galing pong makisama. So gamitin po natin yon. Gamitin po natin yung capability, natural capability natin to increase work relationships in order for us to feel more impact and meaning in our work. So I want to ask you again, let's go back to the Padlet. What has worked for your organization in preserving relationships, especially during the pandemic? Yung mga hindi nagkikita-kita, di ba? Alam niyo yun, dami po natin ngayon na naka-work from home, remote work, hybrid work. Ano po yung nag-work sa inyo para po ma-preserve yung relationships? Ayan. Ano yung VTC? Vacation time? Charot. Zoom, ayan, trust, video call sessions, continuous communications, group chats, Google Meet, group chats, video call meetings, inuman, ayan, gusto natin yan. Open communications, even just by the use of communication platforms. Right? Ano pa? Weekly wellness sessions. Sige pa, sulat pa kayo, damihan nyo kahit ilan sa Padlet. Messenger, Zoom, Messenger on time. Sabay mag-lunch kahit bawal. O, di ba? Kamusta? Mapangahas kayo dito, pero nagwo-work sa inyo, di ba? Okay, go. Video call, kamustahan text. Minsan text lang, di ba? Parang, kamusta kayo dyan? Okay ba kayo? Infected ba kayo? Kailangan nyo ba ng tulong? Minsan kahit na yung mga text lang na ganyan, nag-work na. Ayan, mga fun activities. Like TikToks, di ba? O kaya virtual general assemblies. Minsan din, yung chikahan natin, basta walang siraan, no? Pero yung mga chikahan natin or yung mga pagkakamusta natin sa ibang tao, pagiging marites, nakatulong din yan kasi we are able to relate to one another on that level and we don't feel as lonely because we can talk to someone casually. Diba? Milk tea together, ayan, kahit magka-diabetes kayo, okay lang, go, basta enjoy. Employee one-on-one kamustahan, very important. Ito, I want to highlight this because this is a very important activity. Now, if you have one-on-one sessions with your teammates, this means so much than usual. Kasi dati, kung hindi siya ganun ka-importante sa inyo, kasi sobrang busy nyo at magkakasama naman kayo, yung kamustahan na one-on-one ngayon, sobrang importante niya. Bardagulan sa comment section. Ayan, gamitin nyo yung comment section. Magbardagulan kayo ngayon dito. Pa-deliver ng meal si boss for a meeting. Ay, pasend din po sa amin kay boss kung mayaman si boss. Masaya na po kami sa potato corner. Charot. Eating lunch together, ichikaan. birthday greetings, etc. Yan. O di ba may Mobile Legends pa kayo na na tournaments, maging-magi. Okay, very good. Relationships, that's how important it is also in the workplace. Okay? So yun yung isang i-check nyo. Okay pa ba yung relationship nyo with your coworkers? O feeling nyo sobrang isolated kayo at you don't belong? Kasi sobrang importante. If you don't feel that you belong kasi iba yung kultura nila, iba yung pakikitungo nila, hindi feeling nyo yung values nyo different, start to rethink. Start to rethink if you really belong there. Pero kung ramdam nyo talaga na kahit na matagal kayong hindi nagkikita, pag nag-usap kayo, ramdam na ramdam nyo na talagang ito yung friends for life, 'di ba? Kambal sa uma, mga ganon. Alam na alam mo na i-invite mo siya sa kasal mo, ganong level pag ikakasal ka na, 'di ba? Ganon, yun yung mga type ng relationship that you also want to keep in workplaces. Sabi ni Maria Stella, masaklap if may tendency ang coworkers to be non-inclusive. Totoo po yun. Minsan nga po tayo yun eh. 'Di ba? Minsan po tayo may tendency na kabit-kabit tayo, doon tayo, same school, ganyan. Pare-pareho tayong taga ganitong eskwelahan. Minsan nakaka-isolate po yun ng ibang tao sa workplace. O kaya, sige, pare-pareho tayong galing sa ganitong kumpanya. Tapos hindi natin na-include yung ibang tao. So let's be mindful. Let's be mindful if part tayo nung tinatawag natin na cliquish na wave or mentality. Because we want to be inclusive for people, to give them a chance to see if that workplace is for them. Okay? Mag-evaluate tayo ng sarili din natin minsan. Yung kultura ng kumpanya para ba sa'yo? Kasi may mga kumpanya naman, for example, may mga kumpanya na sobrang indulgent. Ang taas ng autonomy at ang baba ng power distance. Para ba sa'yo yon? Gusto mo ba yung ganun? Or mas gusto mo yung company na sinasabi sa'yo kung ano yung kailangan mong gawin? Kasi may mga high power distance company na susunod ka lang, okay ka na. Tingnan mo kung yun yung para sa'yo. Kasi may mga tao na okay doon. And try to see if that role and that company is like that. Okay? Okay. Last two. Okay, last two. What are you passionate about? What do you advocate for? I want you to answer that in Mentimeter. Okay? Papakita ko sa inyo what I advocate for. I advocate for well-being. Ako po yung nasa picture. Nakita niyo po yung napakalaking karayom na yan. Sinaksak po yan sa akin. Nung ako po ay nagkasakit for the very first time at na-confine, dahil nga po ako ay nagtatrabaho ng on the average 14 to 18 hours in a day dahil kailangan ko pong kumayod. Na-hospital po ako for about almost 1 week because I got infected by a virus in the office. Tapos yun, hindi tuloy-tuloy na po yan. Medyo nanghina na po talaga ako. Ang tagal bago po ako nag-recover. Na-realize ko po na hindi pala masaya na gano'n. No? Na susubukan mo ibigay lahat hanggang sa magkasakit ka na. Tapos baka mamaya irreversible na. So paano ka pang magiging productive in the next years of your life? Paano yung pamilya mo? Paano yung asawa mo? Paano yung mga kaibigan mo? Paano yung buhay mo? Ganyan, di ba? Yan, ayaw po ni Amy ng ganyan. Totoo po. Pinagkatuwaan pa nga po ni Amy, di ba? Hindi po natin gusto yan. Ayaw po natin na i-wish sa mga tao na mahabaan nila yung kanilang pagtatrabaho. Totoo po yun. Ayaw po natin ng ganyan. Kaya lang po, minsan, hindi po natin makontrol, kailangan, kasi po either kagustuhan po natin na kumita ng malaki para po sa ating mga pamilya, or minsan po, kailangan po natin kasi wala tayong choice. Di ba? Kasi po kung hindi natin yan gagawin, pwede pong magutom yung ating mga kamag-anak na umaasa sa atin. Yun po yung reason kung bakit nag-advocate ako for well-being. It's because I don't want this same thing to happen to other people in the future. That is my advocacy. That's why we're doing all of these free webinars with Nikki and with our other speakers. Kasi po, pag hindi po natin ginawa yung pag-aaral sa well-being, mas marami pong tao ang mababurnout katulad nito nung past self. So tulungan po natin. Pwede naman po tayong kumita ng pera at makapagtrabaho nang hindi natin pinapatay yung sarili natin in the process. So yan po ang aking advocacy. Ang question ko po is, ano po ang advocacy nyo? So ayan, nakasulat po sa Mentimeter. So sali pa po kayo yung mga hindi pa po nakakapag-ano. Mental health, self-care, learning. Ayan, nakakatuwa po kasi ang dami nyo rito na ang advocacy ay mental health, no? Pare-pareho po tayong naniniwala dyan. Happiness, work-life balance, empathy, business or income, pwede rin po. Positive change, helping others through offering good service. Pets, pwede pong advocacy yung pets, ha? Yung like taking care of those who cannot take care of themselves. Teaching effectively, ano pa, good health, well-being, learning, safe spaces, being kind is an advocacy, mental health, etc. Ano pa po ang advocacy? Inclusivity, self-love, diversity. Yan. Gusto ko po itong advocacy na to, reaching fullest potential without sacrificing well-being. Pak na pak ka dyan, madam or sir. Diba? Being kind to everyone, sabi ni Ms. Sheila, you don't know what everyone is going through. So these are our advocacies. Okay. Ang katanungan po, ang money question dito is, nakikita niyo po ba itong mga advocacy nyo sa trabaho nyo? Okay? Kasi, yun po yung tinatawag natin na meaning. Okay? Meaning is that feeling that can be derived from belonging to and serving something bigger than yourself. So ang tanong ko po, nakikita niyo po ba ito sa trabaho nyo? Hindi naman ibig sabihin kailangan doon mismo sa direct na job, no? Pero pwede po doon sa mga activities, pwede po doon sa vision, pwede po doon sa mission, pwede po doon sa kultura. Nakikita niyo po ba yun? Yung inyong mga sinulat kanina. Ayan, sabi sa ating chat box, yes, yes, slight, minsan, ano pa, yes, yes, sometimes, sometimes. Very good, very good. Kasi ibig sabihin meron kaagad kayo na value na connected doon sa inyong organization. Diba? Sabi ni Mary Grace, all the time. Sabi ni Clara, yes. Sabi ni Edita, sometimes. Ayan. Sabi ni Alma, helping students with suicidal ideation. Definitely, kitang-kita nyo yung meaning nyo dyan, di ba? Sometimes, sabi ni Lapid, nakikita natin. So, it's nice to see that a lot of you are feeling it. If you're not feeling it, that's okay. Alam mo, that's okay. Kasi minsan talaga hindi natin makuha yun sa ating trabaho. Okay lang. Okay? Okay lang yan. Pwede tayong maghanap ng ibang elements of well-being dun sa trabaho natin kung yung meaning medyo mahina. Kasi yung meaning naman, pwede naman natin yung hanapin outside our work din. Maganda lang kung nandun na rin siya sa trabaho nyo para hindi ka nalalayo. Di ba? So maganda yun. Okay? So very good. So my question to you is, balik tayo sa Padlet. Anong activity sa trabaho nyo ang nag-e-emphasize ng inyong mga passion at advocacies in the workplace? Sige nga, tingnan natin. Anong activities sa trabaho nyo? Sa amin, in Positive Workplaces, yung mga ganitong activity, nagbibigay tayo ng mga free webinars para makikita natin yung mga appreciation ng mga tao na natutulungan natin sila. Kaya nakikita nyo po full force kami dito. Yung si Alma, si Gabby, si Nikki nandito, sila Kurt, sila Rafi, sila Kelly, our interns are here. We're all here because this means a lot to us. This is our collective advocacy, well-being. So sa inyo po, sa organization nyo po, ano yung activities in your workplace that support your passions and advocacies? Sige nga. Yan, mental health, self-compassion, self-care, etc. Coachings and trainings, yes? Yan. One-on-one talks. Weekly wellness. Ayan, with DSWD staff. Very good. Wellness sessions. Teaching per se. Diba? Ano pa? Wellness hour. Graphic designing. Yun. One-on-one session with direct reports. Nakikita niyo po yung mga common, ha? Hindi po natin iniimbento yung mga one-on-one session. Sobrang powerful po niyan. Facilitating stress debriefing activity. Technical assistance to beneficiaries sa DSWD lalo. Life skills and self-development. Pushing and supporting colleagues to try and do something new, like facilitation. Sabi ni Jonalyn sa chat box, engagement activity and collaboration. Yan. Webinars. Hindi pahirapan sa pag-apply ng vacation leave. Totoo rito, huwag din naman pahirapan yung mga tao na mag-apply ng leaves. Kasi minsan kailangan din nila maghanap ng meaning outside. So yun. when they offer to assist financially for my master's degree, ay maganda po ito. Alam niyo po, yung educational assistance program, napakaganda po niyan kasi minsan po may mga choice yung ating mga staff na gustong mag-aral base doon sa advocacy nila. Kung meron po kayong resources, subukan niyo pong pagbigyan. Ibabalik po nila yon ng napakalaking utang na loob. So, yun po yung ginawa ko sa SGS. And I was very proud of that because they helped me finish my MBA degree. Tapos, I really served my time in SGS. I worked with them for almost a decade. And I was able to develop great capabilities and skills because of it. Cultural festival with employees na na-recognize yung mga iba-ibang diverse beliefs and cultures and accomplishments. Strengthen the OIC para makapag-lead. Highly creative process. Very good. Hey, good job, everyone. So that's meaning. That's meaning. So one of the things that you could ask is, do you align with your company's vision and mission? Does the work that you do allow you to grow into what means a lot to you? So what are the work activities that you find meaningful in your job? So those are some of the questions that you can ask whether your job is fit for you on the level of meaning. Okay? Let's go to the last but not the least. Okay? Last but not the least. Let's go back to Menti and answer this question. What is your latest win in your job? Sige nga. What is your latest win in your job at your work? Na-beat yung deadline. Okay. My job in itself is a win. Pwede na yun. Pwede na yun. Huwag na rin. Acing a leadership role. Wagi. This is a great win. Having a successful event, getting promoted as a supervisor, good evaluation, pursuing my master's degree and finishing it, getting hired. Getting hired is simply a win. Quitting could also be a win, no? Quitting. Sometimes we have to quit something before we realize that that in itself is letting go of a lot of the bad things that we have in our lives. That could be a win for us. Ma-inspire yung students. Ba 555. Wala, pero I'm surviving, okay lang. Erased all my to-do list is a win in itself. Nakaraos sa facilitation. Yan. Ang sarap magbasa, di ba? Ng mga ganito. Alam niyo kung bakit? Because one of the most important elements in a relationship is accomplishments. Yung sinasabi po natin na kanina po ang dami nagsabi na one of the reasons why I stay in my job is because of my salary. It falls in this category. Kamusta yung pay nyo? Are you happy with it? Kamusta yung bonuses nyo? Meron ba? Kamusta yung promotion nyo? Diba? Those are accomplishments that are compounded by financial and economic rewards. And some of the other accomplishments that you mentioned are accomplishments that are non-financial, which is amazing, right? So accomplishment is very important to highlight in work kasi this is one of the reasons why people will feel connected to the organization. Pag hindi kasi natin in-acknowledge yung performance ng ibang tao, hindi nila alam kung ano yung nako-contribute nila sa overall goal ng organization. So, last, Padlet. Ano yung nag-work sa organization nyo when it comes to appreciating and recognizing wins? Ayan. Salary increase is one, di ba? Pag nai-increase yung salary natin, parang, wow, ang sarap na appreciate ako ng company ko. So, recognizing and giving positive feedback. Awarding employees, di ba? For service awards. Incentives and meals. Validating. Simply validating people. Having bonuses as rewards is another example of an accomplishment. Recognition, awards and recognition. Diba? Ano pa? Yun, simply giving positive feedback. Simply giving positive feedback is already in itself an accomplishment. Right? Ganyan ka-importante yan. So, ano ngayon yung sinasabi natin in all of these? Ito pong Padlet na ito, sa inyo na to, i-save nyo yung link doon sa Padlet, hindi namin siya buburahin. These are examples of best practices from different Filipinos, from you, from the 500, 600 of you who attended this session, these are best practices from different parts of the Philippines that you can use to strengthen your PERMA, to see and enhance your relationship with your work. Okay? Ano yung message na gusto nating sabihin? Ang message na gusto nating sabihin dito is when we feel bad about our jobs, the first sign of mismatch should not mean that it's the first instinct also to leave or to walk away. Kasi yung relationships nga natin hindi naman ganyan di ba? Kailangan yung relationship natin, ilaban mo. Di ba? Hanggang dulo yan. Hanggang dulo at hanggang wala na talaga. Ilaban mo kasi importante siya. Importante sa atin yung trabaho natin in the same way that importante sa atin yung ating relationships with our special someone. This is how we should treat it. So yung PERMA, that's what you can use to see if you really fought for everything na. So I want to ask you, under the PERMA model, okay, under the PERMA model, and you can go back to the Mentimeter link for this. Ano sa tingin nyo yung relationship nyo with your organization based on the following? I-rate nyo. 1 to 10. 1 being the lowest, 10 being the highest. In relation to positive emotions, engagement, relationship, meaning, and accomplishment. Kamusta yung relationship nyo ngayon with your organization, with your school, with your company? Kamusta kaya? Sige. No judgment. No judgment dito. Okay? Ayan, very good. Ayan, napakabilis ng ating mga ratings. Maraming salamat sa inyong lahat. Nasa bandang 6 yung average natin, no? Pero may mga nandun sa atin na medyo mababa. Ayan, nakikita natin. Tapos mukhang positive emotions, yung medyo mas mababa, no? O, alam nyo na kung ano yung gagawin. At least medyo alam nyo kung ano yung gagawin at pwede nyong gawin. Diba? Para ma-strengthen yung relationship nyo with your work. We will throw you another tip. So, we released a product called Positive Interventions Learning Lab. Tapos positive emotions, yung first na course dyan. This is an asynchronous course na may live learning on March 24. This is just 350 pesos. Kasi pre-launch rate niya, nag-extend hanggang Friday na lang po. Hanggang Friday na lang po ito. Ganito po yung itsura niya. When you go to the platform, and you click this one, it will give you the videos and the lessons on the left side. Yan. Let's see. So tingnan natin. So this is the example, no? Okay.
When we allow ourselves to be aware of our internal emotions, we show strength and self-compassion.
So it's an asynchronous course. Tapos meron po itong mga discussions on the right side. Para if you want to share the discussions and also your input in this, you will also see the discussion of other people. Para you can start to share the learnings. So this is only 350 pesos. And the registration, the 350 is only until Friday. So please feel free to enroll until then. Kasi after Friday, 999 na po siya. So we want to share that with you because that is related also to this course. And that's a very good gift for people who love learning. So that's it for us. That's it for us for now. So siguro what we can do, since it's already 4:28 is, well, this is how you can follow us. What we can do is, we can already share the post-evaluation certificate. Okay? Kasi it's already 4:30. So we can already share the post-evaluation survey in the chat box para masagutan nyo na. Pero for the people who want to stay, we're going to allocate 10 to 15 more minutes for Q&A. Yun muna yung gagawin namin. Kasi alam ko po, meron po sa inyo mga gustong magtanong. Ang dami po nating natutunan today, di ba? So yun po yung gagawin natin. May I ask for your PowerPoint? Pwede nyo pong i-access to sa YouTube. Yung videos po namin, ng buong training na to, webinar na to, nasa YouTube po. So you can just go to our YouTube channel para pwede nyo pong kuhanin doon yung content. Okay? So, maraming salamat po. I'm now passing back to Alma and Gabby.
Yeah. Thanks so much, John, for all that.
Goodbye.
And as John mentioned, we will be having the Q&A. And if you look in the chat, you'll also see the link that we have for post evaluation, and we sent it. I sent it. Our tech support has sent it. So just please be sure to put in your name. And for those naman who want to participate in the Q&A, let me open that for everyone here. Okay.
So that
So
was really an information-packed afternoon, di ba, Alma?
It really was. And I'm sure a lot of you have questions. And what we're going to use right now is this program called Pigeonhole. So kung meron kayong camera, pwede nyo po i-scan tong QR code na to access this. Or you can simply go to Pigeonhole and enter the password itself. You can also have our tech representative send the link in the chat for anyone who wants to ask questions for John.
Yes, Gabi, sa ano nyo na, minsan lang tayo minsan lang tayo ulit mag-appear dito sa public webinars kasi nga ang busy, ang dami naming also in-house session. So sometimes it's not me, sometimes it's not Nikki. So utilize this time. Kasi ang ganda ng topic natin, di ba? Sobrang timely nito sa ating pinagdadaanan ngayon during the pandemic. Lalo na yung sa mga tao na gustong mag-resign. So it's a very good topic to talk about.
Yeah. Ayun, John, we actually have one question coming in from Rogelyn Marabi. Paano po mag-control ng emotion?
Ayun, very good question. I'm going to tap some other people. I'm going to tap some other people in the group. Nikki, are you here? Sasagot ako dito, pero I think like you're a better resource for this, Nikki. But I'm gonna try to ako po ay sobrang impulsive ko po na tao. Minsan, kasi nga po activator po ako eh. So ang bilis ko pong mag-act. Minsan hindi po ako mindful sa aking mga sinasabi. Natuto po ako na mag-control ng emotion by breathing exercises. So ang ginagawa ko po, pag meron po akong nararamdaman na hindi maganda, kunyari po may nakita po akong post sa social media na natitrigger po ako, hihinga po ako ng malalim na breathing exercises for about 2 minutes. At pag naramdaman ko po na kailangan ko pa rin pong i-engage yung nakatrigger sa akin, ibig po sabihin siguro, karapat dapat i-engage yun. Pero pag within the 2 minutes that I was breathing well, I was breathing in, breathing out, tapos naramdaman ko po na may mas magandang paraan para i-engage yun. Yung 2 minutes po na yun, napaka-powerful po sa akin nun. Kasi ang dami ko pong mga hindi magandang naiisip na pwedeng gawin na natitrim po nung 2 minuto na nag-breathe in and breathe out lang po ako. At hopefully, nakikita po ng team ko yun. Kung hindi niyo po nakikita, kung hindi nakikita ng team ko, sabihin niyo sa akin. Para baka dapat 5 minutes yung breathing in and breathing out. Nikki, can you help me out with this one? Kasi this is your expertise. Like, you can control your emotions better than I can.
Unmuted. Okay, there. I'd love to chime in on this one. I actually think na a lot of the times emotions are out of our control. What you want to be controlling is what you do with the emotion. So for instance, for my first step to you is acknowledging the emotion. And because when you name it, then you can tame it. For instance, anger, we want to control. It's not exactly anger, the feeling of anger that we want to control. It's what we do with the anger. Because the very first step is recognize your emotion. And the next step is try to understand what is the value behind that emotion. So if you're getting angry, is it because something you hold dear and you hold valuable is being threatened? Is it because you're trying to get your point across and people can't understand you? So it's important to listen to your emotions instead of controlling it and suppressing it right away. Listen to what that emotion is telling you. And when you understand the value, try to see which is a better way of moving forward. So if it was anger, is the better way to move forward to get your point across? Was it to scream? Or is it maybe to calm down and then gently express the points that you're trying to make with a backing, with the evidence that you have? So it's not so much the emotion that I would suggest that you control, but what you do with the emotion. And the step is name it so you can tame it, understand what value it's trying to bring out, and then that's when you can act with the best possible decision. So yeah, that's my thought on it, John.
Thank you so much, Nikki. Alam niyo po, si Nikki talaga, like I trust her with my life when it comes to when it comes to managing emotions. Kasi like there are times when we are working ta sobrang high emotion, high achievement, high accomplishment lahat. There are times when I will feel upset or down, or like I would just feel like strong emotions of frustration, and I'll talk to Nikki, and then Nikki's gonna show me a lot of things that I probably didn't appreciate before that suddenly I will start appreciating. And for me, is an example of giving room to react before you react doing something that you might regret. So for me yon, breathing or talking to someone else before I act rashly. So yeah, thank you so much for that question.
Gabby, do you want to ask this next question?
Okay, let's get the one with the 2 votes. So, love my job. I love my coworkers. They're great, but the management give more mental problems, especially the boss. They're requiring us to do such work, and that is not already part of our original rules. I think that's what they meant. So, what should they do?
Oh, I'm a big fan of positive communication. May mga times kasi, sometimes na dahil ngayon po, because of the pandemic, ang dami rin pong leaders na tuliro. Intindihin po natin yan. So marami rin pong leaders na hindi nila alam kung ano yung ginagawa nila. so you give them the benefit of the doubt that that their intentions are good, that they are doing that because they want what's the best for you or for the organization. That's one very important thing that you can think about first. Kasi when positive ka agad yung nasa isip mo, then your outlook next will be more positive again. So if you look at their intent and they're positive, you try to look for an opportunity to communicate ways to your management on what you're feeling. An example of that is yung sinasabi ko kanina na positivity ratio. So yung positivity ratio is when you're providing negative feedback to someone, mag-isip ka muna ng 5 or 6 na positive things. For example, kunyari kay Nikki, kunyari kausap ko si Nikki, tapos ang negative feedback is, kunyari ang negative feedback ko kay Nikki is sobrang bait niya. Negative feedback, sobrang bait mo, ako yung nagiging masama mukha sa mga staff natin. Kunyari lang. So what I can tell Nikki is, Nikki, I really appreciate our contrast. Kasi my personality is very results-oriented and your personality is very motherly and nurturing. And I also appreciate na people see you as the good cop in the relationship that we have in our organization. And I appreciate that I can be who I am when I'm talking to you. You know, I appreciate that honesty. Kaya lang, alam mo, minsan talaga na-highlight kasi yung pagka-demonyo ko. Alam mo, it can be like funny like that. It can be like a little bit coy. Pero, pag marami ka kasing naibigay na positive feedback, yung sinasabi natin kanina na broaden and build, totoo po yun eh. Mas lalong nag-open up yung possibility that the person who's receiving the communication will also be open to receive what you're saying. So, in that case, baka pwede mong magamit yon when you're trying to communicate to your boss. Baka mamaya magulat ka na nagbigay din siya sa'yo ng communication also na positive kahit na alam niya na negative yung sinabi mo. Pwede niyang sabihin sa'yo na pasensya ka na ha. Wala kasing ibang pwedeng sumalo ng trabaho kaya kahit na yung trabaho mo ngayon na hindi dapat sa'yo binibigay ko na hindi kasi alam ng mga ibang staff eh. Pwedeng ganun yung ma-receive mo na feedback. Kung hindi ka nag-reach out, pwedeng hindi mo ma-receive yun. Diba? At nandun lang kayo lahat sa assumptions na hindi, masama talaga yung ugali niyan. Hindi talaga magaling yan. So yun, open communication, try to convey positive feedback through the use of positivity ratio and see what happens. Diba? See what happens. Okay.
I think that was really great.
Yeah, that's very helpful, John.
Yeah, ayun. Ito yung next question natin, John. If the management is the one that refused to acknowledge your needs and struggles, is that enough reason to call it quits even though you're still seeing the meaning in your work?
Sorry, can you click that? If the management is the one that refused to acknowledge your needs and struggles, is that enough reason to call it quits even though you still see the meaning? Okay. My answer here is no. Kasi di ba there's PERMA. So there's positive emotions, there's engagement, meaning, relationships, and accomplishment. This can just be one or two aspects of PERMA. Yung PERMA doesn't have to be complete. Hindi naman necessarily na 10 dapat lahat yun bago mo sabihin na great fit talaga yung trabaho. Minsan, merong dalawa lang na importante sa PERMA. For example, ako, nung nagkatrabaho ako dati sa SGS, accomplishment at saka relationships, yung dalawang aspect ng PERMA. But I lasted working with them for 10 years. 'Di ba? For 10 years. Ang haba no, 'di ba? That's almost not 10 years, almost 10 years, almost a decade. So pwedeng hindi mo makuha lahat. Pwedeng yung management mo hindi ina-acknowledge yung mga struggles mo, or pwedeng hindi ina-acknowledge yung mga accomplishments mo, pero you're getting the other elements from other people or from other aspects of the organization. If sa tingin mo yung other elements are so far enough to make you stay, you still try to make it work. Pero if you think yung kaisa-isang reason na yon for you to na rineraise mo is actually making your well-being deteriorate, kahit na meron ka pang ibang other aspects ng PERMA, start to rethink if the job really is for you. Diba? Look for other considerations also, like, can you afford to lose that job? Kasi if you cannot afford to lose that job because you need to fend for your family, again, the answer is you have to stay and try to make it work. And siguro, explore na lang while you are staying inside. Kasi baka nga mamaya hindi yun for you. So try to play with what you feel about that PERMA model. And kung nakikita mo na worth it ba to stay because some of those elements are there anyway. Okay? So sana nasagot ko yung tanong mo. Kasi walang perfect company, walang perfect organization. Sana meron, di ba? Sana meron, kaya lang wala. So you try to appreciate the great things in the organization and see if you can live with that as a long-term relationship. Okay?
Alam mo, John, I also wanted to share this piece of advice that you shared to me. I think it was during that podcast that I mentioned earlier. Parang you told me there's a lot of people right now, when they do their work, they don't necessarily love their job, but then they gain the sustenance from it. It's a high-paying job, but they don't enjoy it. That doesn't necessarily mean that just because you don't enjoy it, you quit it. And the advice you told me is for people like that, let's say you don't enjoy your job, you find your happiness through other means. Minsan, di mo mahanap yung meaning mo sa trabaho mo, make the meaning something you do on the side. You can be working as a tech engineer na hindi mo type yung job mo, you get a lot of money, but then your advocacy is on children. So you do some volunteering on the side. You find meaning through everything you do in your life, not just solely in your job. So
I love that you raised that, Alma, because that is very true. Diba? Sometimes when you don't find the things that the other elements of PERMA in your organization, look for it elsewhere, pero you can still retain the work, especially if it pays well. Meron nga akong kilala, like a lot of our team members, like Positive Workplaces naman kasi as a startup company, we don't have a lot of funds that could come around. Pero the meaning is abundant, the accomplishments is abundant, the engagement is abundant, ganyan, etc. You can look for other rackets outside to earn money. Di ba? Baka magbenta ka ng sarili, magbenta ka ng True Life, ganyan, or magbenta ka ng, magtinda ka online sa Lazada or something just so you can fend for whatever it is you're earning. Kasi you still find a lot of value for the job that probably doesn't pay as well. The reverse of that is yung sinasabi ni Alma na maganda yung trabaho mo kasi mataas magbayad pero yung meaning hindi ka connected. Hanap ka ng meaning sa iba. Hanap ka ng meaning sa iba, kumuha ka ng pera dun sa kumpanya mo. Diba? Maganda yung nandun pareho, of course. But again, it's a work in progress. So, yeah. Hopefully that helps you.
Yeah, ayun, Gabby, why don't we ask this next question?
Which one? There are a lot. But I think, John, you choose. Which one do you think you want to answer?
What if you love your job but you don't like your coworker? Oh,
Alam ko pipiliin mo to, John, eh. Yan, I want to hear your answer.
Since we're in the topic of swiping right. What if we want to swipe left?
Alam niyo po yung, for Filipinos, relationships are very important. Kasi we are a familial culture. Collectivist yung tawag ni Hofstede sa kultura natin. Yung we get energized by groups. Kaya po meron tayong mga example na, for example, yung mga babae sa atin, di ba? Pag may nag-aya na, uy, CR, mag-aayaan mag-CR, sabay-sabay. Kasi collectivist yung collectivist yung kultura natin. O kaya yung kunyari nasa probinsya ka, tapos may handaan, minsan kahit hindi mo kilala, pag nagfiesta sa probinsya, iimbitahin mo pa rin kasi ganun tayo. Like we're a very familial culture. So medyo mahihirapan ka kung gusto mo yung trabaho mo pero yung coworkers mo hindi mo gusto, especially if marami kayong interactions. Okay? So ano yung pwede mong gawin? Engage them. Try to talk to them. Try to see if there is a connection that you can make with them by communicating positively. Okay? So you try to do that kasi still worth a shot. Sayang naman, gusto mo yung trabaho mo eh. 'Di ba? Alam mo, kaya ko gusto 'tong experience na to kasi merong time na hindi ko gusto yung boss ko. Magagalit sa akin to. Kasi sobrang talaga niya, sobrang high accomplishment, high standard, tapos parang wala na akong ginagawang tama, parang ganun. Pero when I started to directly report to her, tapos I found out her story, I found out her history, I found out why she was like that, I understood. Tapos ngayon, mentor ko na siya. She's one of my best mentors ever. She will still talk to me. We will share leads. She will still share knowledge of what she's able to practice because she's a very strong and very progressive HR practitioner. I gave her a chance. Diba? I gave her a chance and she gave me also a chance. So, try to engage. Try to engage them. Kung hindi talaga, o edi yun, tsaka ka mag-isip kung worth it bang umalis kahit na gusto mo yung trabaho mo pero hindi mo gusto yung coworkers mo. Right? Sabi nga natin, it only takes one connection. O baka hindi boss mo yon, baka yung iba yon. Just look at that one connection in your workplace. Ayan, ang galing ng sinabi ni Maria Estela. Sabi niya, disliking them does not mean that there is need for antagonization. That's true. Pwedeng hindi mo talaga sila gusto, pero you don't need naman to fan the flame and, start bad things with them. Pwedeng nandun lang sila kung you're engaging with other coworkers who energize you well and good. So, yeah. Ayan. Thank you so much for the tips. Nakakatuwa naman.
Do we take in one more, Lon? One last?
Yeah. We can take siguro one last para we can give some time for people to absorb the learning on their own.
Okay, so I think we can answer this since this is very much related to what Monica will talk about next week. So how can we manage stress even though I like my job?
Oh, okay. I love this question. How can we manage stress even though I like my job? Yung flow kanina, yung flow experience, di ba ang definition niya is high expectation meets high skill. So one of the ways to manage stress is to increase your skill. Okay? Anong ibig sabihin nun? Kunyari ako, hindi ako magaling gumawa ng PowerPoint presentation, pero kailangan kong gumawa ng PowerPoint presentation para sa trabaho ko, mag-aaral akong gumawa ng PowerPoint presentation. Number one, in the shortest span of time possible. Number two, yung high quality na may impress yung mga tao. Number three, yung design mismo, may impress sila because content pa lang ulam na. Diba? So ano yung, paano mamamanage yung stress ko? Pag mas magaling ako gumawa ng design kasi na-train ko yung sarili ko and I was able to develop my competency in that, I will become an expert. And instead of dreading it and it feeling very stressful, I will actually enjoy doing it. An example of this is Nikki. So si Nikki, tulak na kita. So si Nikki, sobrang nasa-stress siya dati na mag-present sa crowd, sa sobrang daming tao. Totoo yan. She will always tell this story na she's very introverted, that whenever she presents to a big crowd, so tingnan nyo, until now, she feels stressed. Pero she increased her competencies by actually doing the activities and experiencing the activities and using some of her other strengths to make the experience enjoyable. So pag na-combine nyo yung existing strengths nyo and yung skill nyo ma-develop in relation to that, that is what will get you closer to that flow experience. So yung stress mo mababawasan at pwedeng mapalitan ng enjoyment. That's one of my most favorite topics. So sana makatulong yon. There is no excuse for incompetence. Sorry, there is no excuse for incompetence. Try always to improve your skill based on what is expected of you because that is what will relieve your stress. Alam niyo kung bakit sobrang stressed ang sobrang daming Filipino leaders? Kasi hindi magaling magplano. Hindi magaling sa strategic planning. Puro troubleshooting. Puro pagmamanage kung ano na yung nasa harapan natin. Kung magaling tayo mag-manage, kung magaling tayo magplano strategically, yung mga bagay na kailangan natin i-troubleshoot, naisip na natin at nagawa na natin ng strategy, hindi na natin aalalahanin pag dumating yung panahon na kailangan natin siyang alalahanin. Yun yung isang rason kung bakit sobrang daming stress na tao. Kasi marami sa atin hindi magaling magplano. That's a reality in our context. So, taasan natin yung capability natin. Piliin nyo kung ano yung mga skills na dapat yung ma-develop na maganda para lalong gumanda yung inyong capability to manage stress. Right? Sana nakatulong po yun sa inyo kasi sobrang importante po nung last thought na yun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I completely agree. So ayun, thank you, John, for that wonderful answer. And I also want to take this opportunity to thank everyone who asked questions. I know marami tayong tanong. Sadly, we don't have all the time in the world. And yun, I also just wanted to go out there and thank John for such a wonderful presentation. And I hope nakikita na naman natin ang dami niyo pa in the call. So much of you are so interested in the topic. Thank you so much, John, for sharing your knowledge and expertise with this. I'm sure na marami tayong na-reach and a lot of conversations were engaged because of us talking about this topic. So thank you so much.
Can I just answer this one question in the chat box? Someone's asking if we can send a copy of our presentation. We're very sorry, pero we don't send the copy of our presentations kasi we use it also for in-house courses. However, you will see the content, all of it, as a video in YouTube. So if you want to get the content mismo dun sa slides, you can go to our YouTube channel or YouTube page and you can see the whole content of this right now. So pasensya na kung hindi namin masend kasi mahirap i-send sa lahat yung mga content. All right. So, okay.
And thanks so much, John. And guys, if you listened to John earlier, sabi niya nga na meron kaming well-being pill that may promo pa rin kami to. It ends on Friday. And this is a 65% discount. So it's being sold at $350. Yung original rate niya ay $999. So please hustle on this. Don't mind that the promo here will end now kasi in-extend namin yan to Friday. So please take this opportunity. Make it as a gift to a loved one because it's a really, really great experience. And yan, so thank you everyone for coming. Today what we did was this free webinar series having John talking about swipe right, bagay ba kayo ng trabaho mo. And next week naman, ang gagawin namin, our last webinar series for the month of February is May Pag-asa Pa Ba Tayo? Spotting Red and Green Flags of Well-Being Using Hope Theory. And we're going to be having Monica Silona. She also works for the team and is also part of Behasa PH. And we have a very exciting topic in store. So guys, kung nagustuhan niyo yung content namin, there's much more that we post in relation to this other than webinars, courses, and many exciting content for you to learn from or share. Makikita niyo lahat yan sa Facebook namin. So you can simply type it there, Positive Workplaces, mahanap niyo rin kami. And why don't you give us a like and a follow if you like our content. And of course, so what you experience right now is a webinar done by our very own John. And then you also heard Nikki earlier, and we also have Gabby. We actually do a wide range of webinars, trainings, and courses that we offer to private companies, NGOs, and even government services. So if this is something you're very much interested in, please shoot us an email at this address, learn@positiveworkplaces.org. For sure, ako ang mag-reach out sa inyo to greet you. So please don't hesitate to contact us. And ayan. So the post-evaluation was already sent in the chat. It will be closing in 5 more minutes. And I guess I'll just take this time to thank everyone one last time for coming and sharing, giving us your time in this afternoon. And thank you once again to John for such a great and insightful program. Why don't we all take a picture for everyone that is still here? Ayan, magsilabasa na kayo, mag-open kayo ng camera, and let's take a picture to commemorate this moment. I will stop sharing pa. Ayan. Ayan, thank you so much for everyone turning on your cameras. Okay? Okay. Ayan, sige, mag-ayos-ayos muna kayo ng buhok. Ayan. Okay, so magka-countdown ako dito ng 1, 2, 3. Tapos kailangan i-hold nyo yung smile nyo kasi marami tayo. Mga 12 pages tayo. Kaya, ayan. Okay. You all look so great. Okay. Okay. Okay, mag-picture na tayo, okay? Okay. 3, 2, 1, smile. Ayan, hold your smile, hold your smile. Okay, ang saya naman, ang dami niyo nag-on ng camera. Ayan. Okay, thank you so much for coming, everyone. And for those who still have time for the post-evaluation link, I will resend it in the chat again just in case you guys missed that. Thank you, everyone.
See you next week. I'll also be there. I'll be with Monica then. So maraming salamat for coming, everyone. I hope you learned today.
See you next week.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
So, paano na to close?
Thank you very much po.